Rome is a city of saints and hustlers. Every block sings two songs, one for the tourists, one for the night. And then there is the Vatican, the smallest country on earth, the biggest secrets under heaven. Legends here say innocence can vanish in a breath, rituals tucked under incense, children who walked in and never walked out. Some say those are just ghost stories, but in 1983, the whispers became real. Her name was Emanuela Orlandi, 15 years old, a citizen of the Vatican, a girl with a flute, a family, and a future. One June night, she stepped into the Roman streets. She never came home. Emanuela was not a myth. She was flesh. She was rhythm. She was born January 14th, 1968, the fourth of 5 children. Her father, Ercole, worked for the Vatican Bank. Her mother, Maria, kept the family grounded. They lived inside the Vatican, not Rome, not Italy, inside the walls, one of the very few lay families granted Vatican citizenship. Her brother Pietro described it like living in a tiny town. Safe, he said, except when the gates locked you in. That safety was also a cage, but Emanuela had her escape. Music, flute, piano, choirs. She was shy, friends said, but when she played, she lit up the room. Music was her passport out. On June 22, 1983, Rome burned with summer heat. She asked Pietro to walk her to her flute lesson. He said no, busy. Later he would say, if only I had gone with her, maybe it wouldn't have happened. That regret was the last conversation they shared. That night, she called home, static on the line. She told her sister about a man who had offered her a job. Avon flyers, easy work, quick money. She mentioned a dark green BMW. It was the last time her voice was heard. 2 witnesses near Palazzo Madama reported seeing a girl with an Avon bag, a man with a green BMW, the same car, the same description. Strange detail, the car belonged to a woman. And then, the agent assigned to the case was pulled off suddenly. The trail ran cold. Her classmates waited for her at the bus stop that evening. She never showed. Rome woke up to missing posters on its walls. A Vatican girl was gone, and then the phone started ringing. The first caller named himself Pierluigi, a young voice, nervous, but too precise. He said he met a girl in Campo de Fiori. She played the flute. She hated her glasses. She called herself Barbarella, details only her family knew. Another man called. He said his name was Mario. He owned a bar near Ponte Vittorio. He claimed 2 girls were handing out Avon flyers. One called herself Barbara. She said she would go home after her sister's wedding. Then another voice cut in. She's taller than that. A correction no stranger would make. And then came the heaviest voice. 16 calls, always from public phones. He called himself the American. He demanded the release of Mehmet Ali Aksa, the man who had tried to shoot John Paul II 2 years earlier. As proof, he produced photocopies of Emanuela's ID, her school receipts, even a handwritten note. One tape carried a girl's voice in the background. Some said it was her. Others said it was a trick. The American tied her disappearance to another name, Mirella Grigori, another 15-year-old who disappeared just 40 days earlier. Same city, same age, same silence. 2 girls gone, 2 families waiting by the phone. Rome spun in circles. Rome doesn't deal in straight lines. It deals in alleys, side streets, and whispers. Every whisper in this case grew legs. Every theory came dressed for church. One theory pointed to geopolitics, the Cold War, Aka and his Turkish nationalist crew, the Grey Wolves. Some believed Emanuela was leveraged to free him. Aka himself insisted she was alive, hidden in a convent. He spoke like fog, thick, shapeless, and gone when you reach for it. Another theory pointed at the Magliana gang, Rome's underworld, slick suits, fast cars, deep ties to bankers and bishops. Their boss was Enrico Renatino de Pedis. He ended up buried in St. Apollinare Basilica, a mobster in holy ground, just a stone's throw from where Emanuela had her music lessons. That detail turned suspicion into gasoline. In 2005, an anonymous caller phoned a crime show. If you want to solve the Orlandi case, look inside de Pedis' tomb. People laughed, but the tomb was real. His girlfriend, Sabrina Minardi, later went public. She claimed de Pedis abducted Emanuela at the request of a Vatican figure. She told of a drugged girl, a luxury car, and a handoff to a man dressed as a priest. Her story was fogged by drugs in years gone by. But once she said it, Rome couldn't unhear it. Another theory pointed inside the Vatican itself. In 2012, Father Gabriele Amorth, the church's exorcist, declared that Emanuela had been taken by a network of police and insiders. He called it criminal activity within the Vatican. Officials dismissed him, but when the man who fought demons for a living says, the evil is inside your house. People listen. A friend of Emanuela's later told Netflix's Vatican Girl that weeks before she disappeared, Emanuela had confessed she had been approached in the Vatican gardens by someone close to the Pope. That claim, you never saw a courtroom, but it never disappeared either. Another angle said it was simpler. A predator who hunted teens. Same bait, same tricks. Mirella Grigori, then Emanuela. 2 girls, same city, same age. And then came Marco Accetti, a photographer with a taste for chaos. In 2013, he confessed. Said he was Mario, said he was the American. He even produced a flute he claimed was hers. Teachers said it was the wrong model. DNA said nothing, but voice analysis? 86% match to the American, close enough to raise suspicion, not close enough to close the case. And then there were the spooks. A former Stasi officer, Günter Bonsack, admitted they planted fake letters tying the case to terror networks. Cold War smoke in a city already thick with incense. 5 theories, each tunnel darker than the last. Time passed. Priests were buried. Politicians moved on. But the Orlandi name stayed on posters and in headlines. Hope rose. Hope collapsed. Again and again. In 2012, a leaked Vatican letter claimed the church had supported Emanuela in London until 1997. Officials called it fake, but the rumor left a scar. In 2018, bones were found during renovations near the Vatican embassy. Rome froze. Could this finally be her? Tests said they were centuries old. Another false alarm. In 2019, 2 family tombs in the Teutonic Cemetery were opened on camera. Both were empty, no remains, no coffins, only silence, louder than before. In 2022, Netflix aired Vatican Girl. Old wounds reopened. New audiences learned her name. Pietro faced the camera, voice raw. We're not asking for revenge. We're asking for truth. In January 2023, the Vatican's prosecutor, Alessandro Didi, opened a formal investigation. Rome's prosecutor followed in May. By June, the Vatican admitted it had turned over evidence and interviews to Italian authorities. 40 years later, the walls cracked just a little. In November 2023, Italy's Senate approved a 4-year bipartisan commission, not just on Emanuela, on her and Mirella Grigori together. For the first time, Parliament itself stepped in. In late 2024, Didi confirmed what had always been denied. A file existed, he said. The file was found. It exists, not public, not detailed, but no longer myth. By 2025, the Parliamentary Commission had unearthed a memo denying that the Vatican paid ransom. Hearings continue. New documents surface. Pietro says what he has always said. He trusts Rome's prosecutor and Parliament, not the Vatican. 4 decades of silence, and still, the trail breathes. Rome is a palimpsest, stories written over stories. The Vatican sits on top of some of the oldest. Under St. Peter's lies a necropolis, a city of the dead, streets lined with tombs from the earliest centuries. Today you can tour it, the Scavi. But to locals it is proof that the Vatican lives above bones and secrets. Running from St. Peter's to Castel San Angelo is the Passetto di Borgo, 800 meters of hidden passage. 2 popes used it to slip away in times of danger. To Rome's rumor mill, it is more than a corridor. It is a symbol. Power always has a private exit. Cases of missing inside Vatican City are rare. That scarcity feeds the myth. When Emanuela, a Vatican citizen, disappeared, the myth fused with reality. Every later rumor found her name. Historians say Vatican secrecy breeds urban legend. Because archives are closed, the silence becomes a canvas. People paint their fears onto it. Some say it is Dan Brown settings with murky evidence, but for the Orlandi family it is not fiction. This is the tension of the case, a sacred city that breeds myths, and one family that only wants facts. 4 decades have passed. No closure, no truth. And still, in Rome, you see her face taped to walls. Still, you hear her name echo in marches. Pietro once said, "The Vatican is my home and my enemy." That paradox beats like a second heart in this story. The Vatican guards its secrets tighter than gold, but secrets are alive. They breathe in the catacombs beneath St. Peter's. They whisper in the Passetto's hidden stones. They crawl through the archives no one can touch. There are tunnels under these walls, corridors that kings and popes used when the light of day became too dangerous, and where tunnels exist, so do shadows. Rome is built on myths. The Vatican is built on silence. And silence is the perfect breeding ground for legends that never die. They say ghosts still walk the necropolis below the basilica. They say the Passetto still carries voices if you walk it alone at night. They say the marble remembers what the faithful try to forget. So what do we call Emanuela Orlandi? A missing girl? A Cold War pawn? A victim of power swallowed whole? Or just the most visible name in a longer list we will never see? Because here is the dread that keeps this story alive. If it happened once, it can happen again. If a girl can vanish inside the shadow of St. Peter's, what is to stop another? Legends do not keep you safe. Walls do not always protect. And silence does not end a story. Emanuela's face is more than a reminder of the past. It is a warning for the future. Final bell toll. Let the silence stretch too long, then cut to black. Thank you for listening. There will always be more tales to be told, so please remember you could like and subscribe.